Welcome, managers, to another episode of FPL Ambassador Show. This is our second season running. We started off in season 2021-2022, and thankfully we've been able to enter into season 22, season 23. So it's all good. There was a bit of a hiccup in the start, but you're all welcome. Raymond, you're welcome.
Thank you, Rowland, Charlie. The preseason games have started as well, so Charlie. It looks like we are actually getting closer and closer to the season as well. Charlie, mind you for once a day.
We did.
Tell us, what's it there? What's it there?
Oh,
What's
we
it
did. We
there?
did.
Hey, tell you what, go to
It's
call
energy. No, it don't make noise. So
and hack.
it don't.
I will say, should we start by your players or what? Should we start by the value players or what?
Preseason has now started, so you don't get carried away by that.
Yes.
That results that came out. So relax, I beg you.
Yes, so it's just a reminder to managers that we'll do a proper preseason, preseason roundup, whereby we'll look at every team's preseason and then we evaluate it. Now, some of the teams are playing with their youth and academy boys, so we can't probably delve much into it. So they should just relax for us. We are just taking our time bit by bit. We are focused on the main teams, and then I'm sure by next 2 weeks, we'll look at that. By then, almost everything would have played three matches, and then you can give proper analysis on that as well. But that said, we are glad to be back again. Managers, great. I hope you've all set up your FPL teams and your first draft. Some people, I hear that people have reached 97 drafts already, Charlie. So it's all good.
Ray, before we go on,
Sure.
Have you gotten in touch with the winner of last year's FPL Ambassador Show mini league?
No, he hasn't gotten to me. So let me use the opportunity to make this announcement. So Emmanuel Nyama, we are giving you up to the end of this July. If you don't contact us, then it means that by default it will move to the next person. Niose Banama has contacted me. So if Emmanuel does not come, then it means that yes. But even if Niose Banama does not even meet the requirements, we know the requirements to subscribe to the channel by Gameweek 19, then it means it moves to the third person, Alexander. As we said, the rules are very clear as well. So we can come back to what we need to do. So anybody who knows Emmanuel Nyama can just inform him about that there. So quickly, let's move in. Let's talk about some high price rises. And then the good thing that some of the price will also freeze. So De Bruyne is 12. Why did I write 13 for De Bruyne? Hey, this slide there's a mistake on the slide. Let me check. I think I didn't. When I finished, I didn't save it. So De Bruyne and Trent, that's a ham. But aside De Bruyne and Trent, the other slides are all correct. Roland, which player are you happy that the price has stayed the same?
Oh yeah, we spoke about it last week. I think that for some of the players we are okay with it. I think De Bruyne was expected that he'd be 12. TA2 was expected that he'd be 7.5. So it's all good, all well and good. I don't see any real surprise apart from Marcus Rashford, who was and by the rest,
Charlie. Okay. So you know that very interested in Charlie. The prizes, boys have started choosing their team, and Erling Haaland is owned by over 60% of managers. Charlie, what? Hey, the guy has not even kicked the ball. The guy has not even kicked the ball. Look at the way managers are all around him, Charlie. So these are the top owned players as after day 8. That was after yesterday. So we can't update till the day ends for today. So Haaland is owned by 64% of managers. I'm sure Salah also cross 60%. So it means that this season you will need to start with Salah and Haaland. If you do any comside, you don't want you there, you worry yourself, because if they hit, the effective ownership is surely going to go against you. Gabriel Jesus is also a very interesting player there. Trent, we were all happy Trent was 7.5 and not 8. So most guys are good. In fact, I want to stay on the show today. If you build an FPL team without Trent Alexander-Arnold, you are making yourself you are just worrying yourself. Trent at 7.5, it's a serious bargain they gave us because Trent could have come at 8.5. Cancelo is also there by 45%, towards 46%. But Cancelo, the City's first games are a bit tricky, but he's also worth it there. They're looking if Cucurella can come. If Cucurella will come, guys might look there. Charlie, Perisic, guys are seriously on Perisic at 5.5. I'm looking to see if Doherty might be able to challenge him. Me, if Doherty will challenge him, I'll go for Doherty and see that extra 0.5. Reece James is there at 40%, even though Chelsea's first games are a bit tricky. They face Tottenham in game week 2, but Chelsea, they're attacking guys. The only thing that we need to wait in prison to see whether Tuchel will solely play the 4 back or will still keep to a 3 back. Diaz is there. Roland, can you guess the Greenwood that we have over here? Which of the Greenwood is this? Is this your Greenwood or which other Greenwood?
The least one.
The Leeds United Greenwood, yes, 4.5. So most managers are not playing the typical 4-3-4-3 formation FPL, but they are playing that kind of formation. And then Son's 12 million has really, really worried guys. But Charlie, I want to see on the show today, find a way of bringing Son into your team, because what Son might hit in Son is sort of doing that. He always sits the first 3 games, and by then managers will not have him and they'll start scrambling for him. And by the time they start scrambling for him, he would have already scored the goals then. Anybody who catches your attention in the top 12 old managers in FPL so far, after 8 games, the game was launched. Well, anyone that catches your attention, interesting.
I don't really see the hype around Perisic. No, the Twitter community, they do this every now and then, and so I don't know. Like, it's more or less a cliche. If you see all these Twitter experts, so-called experts, or however they refer to themselves as, every player's manager's team is 90% the same. Perisic just came into the league, so are you trying to say that Sessegnon and Reguilon will be out of the team for Perisic, who is a right-sided player, to play on the left wing sometimes, or you move to the right?
Yeah, Roland, the reason behind the Perisic move is that Perisic is a Conte player, and Conte played with him at Inter, and he was able to do the very worst for Conte. So it's more like you come into a team and like, Charlie, now I want my guy, and you go and pick him. So there's no way Conte will go and bring Perisic and bench him. So guys are more assured, at least for the first 4 games, Perisic is going to play. The fact of the matter is that Spurs played some yesterday, and not all the players were able to play. So I'm sure by the second and third preseason, we'll be able to tell whether Perisic will actually start or not. So I think we can all agree to disagree on this point over here. But that said, we'll see how it goes there. So, managers, let us know where you're watching us from. We have a global audience, some from Africa, some from Asia, Europe. So let us know where you're watching from and let's know. So, Roland, you know a very interesting start. You're asking about Pedro Neto. What is it saying about Pedro Neto? Yes. The reason why most managers have Pedro Neto is that, Pedro Neto had an injury last season, 2021, 2022. So he wasn't able to play for much of last season. But the previous season, over 31 games, he had 124 points. That was the season that Jimenez got injured. So Neto was the guy who was actually holding the team there. So that is why Pedro Neto is really on manager's radar. So that is why he has some goals and assists, a decent. So at 5.5, that's a very good return for Pedro Neto over there. And the second interesting stat that managers should note is that Gabriel Jesus penalty record. Those who are expecting Gabriel Jesus to pick the penalty record for Martinelli and Saka at Arsenal, Gabriel Jesus is not most likely to do it because his penalty record is not the very best over there. So these are some 2 interesting FPL points that managers should note there. Roland, is there any other FPL points you have noticed over the few games that you think that as managers we should look up to? If not, I would move to our main item for today, which is getting ready for the players. Now, the challenge is that now when the game is released, everybody's looking for which kind of players are good to select. So these are challenges we all have to do. But before that, let's not forget about this very important reminder. Now, this season we have been given 3 main wild cards. Somebody said there are 2 wild cards, but unlimited transfers for the second wild card. Now, what we are going to see is that we are going to have a situation whereby we'll have our first wild card, which was used by game week 16, and then we'll go for the World Cup. This is the first season we're having the World Cup in between the season. So we'll go for the World Cup from 12th November to 26th December. So after we go for the World Cup from 12th November to 26th December, that is between game week 16 and 17. And FPL has seen that because players will go to the World Cup, they might come back with injuries and so many things. So FPL has given us unlimited transfers, which makes our game week 2 our second wild card. So you have a second, but that wild card must be used before 26th December. So it's only between the World Cup period for managers to reorient their team in case one of your key players you had owned by 12th November going to the World Cup is injured. So we have 3 wild cards this year. Plan. Don't say you are keeping your wild card. You can't keep your first wild card beyond 12th November, which is game week 16. And then the second wild card must be used between game week 16 and then game week 17. So when game week 17 starts on 26th December, if we don't use it, it expires. And then we have our very final wild card, which is our third wild card there. Rowland, that is a very key point. Are you happy about this decision, or is there anything you're not happy about that?
Okay, so if you didn't even raise it, I didn't even know there was something like that, but that's fine. Then it makes the job a bit easier.
You know what?
So it's not bad.
You know what? If that was not given to us, my plan was that I would have kept my wild card up to after the World Cup before I activate it, because I know certainly after the World Cup, some players will come back with injuries and some players will lose from certain things. So I was planning to keep it, but I'm not happy that they're giving that to us there. So managers, let's note these are very key things that managers should note there. So our player compass for this season, these are the key players. There are 1,001 players in FPL, but I'm talking about key players you need to note for this season. Looking at the teams in order of the table last season, the champions Man City. Roland, any key players from Man City you think that managers should look up to this year? Any key players there?
This year, it's more than obvious. So KDB, Haaland, Cancelo, Laporte. These are the key players for me in the team. Taking punts on Foden, Mahrez. Sterling has left. I don't know how it's going to be like for managers. You have been burnt by Mahrez time and time again, but if you look at it very well, Mahrez could get the best season yet in a Man City shirt. So, and he and Foden seem the cheapest options out of the lot, right? In terms of value, anyway. Because Laporte at 6 million gives you that kind of, he's good value at that price point anyway. But Diaz is nailed. He'll play every game. So that's why it is. He only got injured the time I bought him. But I'll take it like that. And then we move on.
Okay. So key point. Haaland is yes, for the past season, City have learned to play without a striker. People are concerned that Haaland fit directly. Let's not forget, 2 seasons ago, City were playing with Aguero. So Pep will just organize his formation again to suit his players there. So managers should not be too bothered at whether Haaland will fit or not. Haaland will definitely fit in there. So Haaland is somebody you can look at. As you talked about, Mahrez and Foden are players that we just watch. But to start the season, you can go with Cancelo or Haaland or Laporte and then KDB. These are the sure players. Now, normally when you start the season, always start the season with very sure players. Don't just be choosing the players here, right here, there, here, that. It's always good that you have some level of sure players to start the season. That is one of the very good things that managers need to note. What about Liverpool? What do you think? Who are the key players that you think that managers should look for? What do you think? Robo, Trent, which one should we start with? One. Come again.
That
the Liverpool page.
It's your preference. It's your preference. I think that hello to FPL Ghana. Thank you for commending us. We are here because of you guys. We continue to give you the great contents that we can. FPL Rabadoki, you are also welcome. So back to what you were saying. I think Trent and Robo is the toss of a coin. But most managers would definitely go in for Trent. So I mean, the fear of missing out is what the issue is. But if you look at it, at the end of the season, their points will be similar. So I
Okay.
mean, Salah a no-brainer. Diaz and Nunez. Nunez, I mean, that one is a bit of a hype for me. I don't see what people are seeing anyway. But maybe I don't have the eyes any longer. But he's not a player I'll ever go for. I don't think I would ever stick out my neck to go in for a Nunez. For what? I mean,
Okay.
you have Diaz, who is a million cheaper. You have Trent and Robo. If I had to choose three Liverpool players, I'll go for two
Mhm.
defenders and one attacker. I don't
So
know what you
Roland, you
think.
are saying that managers should rather consider going with Robo and Trent and then adding Salah to it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because in effect, these two defenders are like midfielders. It's the clean sheet point
Okay.
that you lose that will be a problem. But game after game, they should deliver on attacking returns.
Okay. Okay. So I think that is really a fair point there.
And you know,
Now I've been trying to
with the Liverpool strikers, to apart from Salah, Diaz, Nunez, Firmino, Jota, they'll be sharing minutes, so it'll be
okay
difficult to tell who is really nailed as of now. So that's another factor managers should consider.
to consider there. That is also very true there. So that is it there. So managers what the part next week we are going to do game week one formations. We are going to bring different teams and drafts with different permutations to help managers to be able to plan on which other draft they can consider and look at, have a second thought to whatever plan they are having there. So that is it there. So Chelsea, Reece James, Chilwell, Mount, Mendy at 5.0. Mendy is quite very interesting. Sterling, which players are you looking up to, Roland? And who do you think is going to do the job at Chelsea? So you should wait and see.
Okay, so if I was to pick a player from Chelsea, or to pick three players, I'll go in for Mount, Chilwell, and James. Now I consider
Okay,
Mount to be uh, he will come up with more goals and assists because of the Sterling factor.
okay,
And the way Sterling used to play at Man City, hugging the touchline, sometimes moving in, those kind of
mhm,
interplay will help Chilwell, James, because of the English affiliation. They would have that
okay,
telepathy more, and try and work around triangles better than Havertz and Werner, who is supposedly leaving. So I think that
okay.
this will also help. And Sterling can play a false nine, can play left wing, right wing. So Sterling is expensive. He would have been the number one choice. But for value for money, you go in for these two defenders and Mount, you are good to go.
Sure, spot on. I agree over there. Havertz has been moved to forward, and that will affect his points as at now. So even though he will play as a false nine, Havertz as a midfielder in FPL is better than Havertz as a forward in FPL. So managers should watch that about Havertz there. Spurs, Son, Kane, Kulusevski, Perisic, Doherty. I know you've spoken about Perisic. So Kulu, Son, do you think managers should spend the extra 4 million to buy Son, or you think they should save that 4 million for Kulusevski? And what's your take on Hurricane over there?
Okay, so looking at a lack of strikers for this season, I would have preferred to go Kane over Son, preferably. But that would also be an error because Son, when preseason starts or when the season starts, in effect, he usually has starts with a one goal project. So for the next or for the start of the season, the first 3 or 4 games that he'll play, he'll give you attacking returns. But Kane is a slow burner. It takes time to build
Okay.
into the season. So that's one thing that
Okay.
managers should also look out for. Kulusevski, as of now, because of his price point, it makes it difficult fitting him into the team. So now it's having one or the other. You cannot say you'd have two Spurs players without leaving out a Salah or a Diaz or a KDB or a Haaland. So these are choices that managers have to make, right? So you're either going for Son or Kane. That is it from Spurs for me. Their defense is a bit shaky. I would like them to start the season and see how well they start before I go in for any defensive player. You know.
But Roland, I think with defense, if you check Spurs' last 10 games for the season, by then Conte's system has started working and they were relatively solid as compared to the earlier part of the season. So I think we just have to see the preseason and see. It's just sometimes we know a team for the whole season, but if we look at latter part of the season, how their system had adjusted and as well. So and then Spurs have done some kind of reinforcement over there. So between Son and Kane, I just want your final take. Who would you go with? Son or Kane?
Son.
Son. Great. So if you go Son, then it means that you go Haaland in attack. Or you still don't trust Haaland?
Why Haaland?
I know you don't trust Haaland.
No.
No. Okay.
You already know.
You know the beauty about FPL? It's about variety. You choose the players that you think will do the job for you, and then you look at it over there and see how it goes then. Okay. Arsenal. Ramsdale is now 5 points. I'm surprised that Ramsdale was not made 5.5. But Arsenal have a lot of 4.5 defenders with a lot of 6. So 6.0 Martinelli, 6.5 Odegaard, 6.0 Emil Smith Rowe. Saka has been raised to 8 million. And then you have Nketsiah and Jesus. What is your take in the midfield? And then would you go for any defender in Arsenal?
Looking at the fixtures, looking at the fixtures, Ramsdale gives you save points, gives you clean sheets. Okay, now let's have a look at it. So Arsenal's fixtures are good, right?
Yeah,
these are games that they can easily concede, but you definitely get clean sheets. Yes, so more or less an Arsenal midfield. Saka is 8, but he's worth it, right? But going for the midfield being so jam-packed with players like Son, De Bruyne, Salah, you trying to figure it out. I prefer Jesus in front, right?
Okay.
I don't know if Nketsiah will be played alongside Jesus. That will make a difference because Jesus is a selfless player. He's not selfish. So Nketsiah will stand to benefit.
Yes, so Roland, I think Arteta is trying something. Either he will play his original formation, or in some games he will switch to 2 up top. So something like a 3-5-2, something like that, or a 3-4-2-1, some 3-4-1, something like that. So that he will play the 2 of them. So it's not certain, but it looks more or less like Jesus is the main striker. But in some games, Nketsiah might join him. But as you are saying, looking at the difference between Nketsiah at 7.0 and then Jesus at 8.0, I think that Jesus is worth it. Or what do you think?
That is it, precisely so.
Sure. And he's already started scoring. Over the weekend, he scored, I think, 2 goals over there. So that is it there.
Nice one.
So, but if managers are struggling to get in Saka into their team, which of Martinelli, Odegaard, and ESR would you recommend for them?
None of the above.
Oh my God!
Please, let's go.
Okay. Personally, I would go with Martinelli on the left wing, because also I hear Martinelli might be getting more involved in penalties. Even though Saka is there, I hear the original penalty taker is Martinelli, but most of the time last season Saka was taking it. But I'm getting the feeling that Martinelli might take more of the penalties this time. So if you cannot get to Saka, sometimes you are forced to come down and get. But as you are saying, Jesus is the better player, so managers should look up to Jesus over there. What about Ten Hag's Man U? De Gea, Charlie Russell's price is so tricky. Managers who are watching us, thank you for joining us today for such a wonderful stream. Don't forget to like the channel and let us know from you, where are you watching us from? Which players are you considering in these big 6 teams? Roland. So which of the Man U players? See, I've put question mark almost all of them. Charlie, which of them should we look? I would say we should wait and see. Ten Hag, what's the name?
Well, so like when they have these competitions, like these TV shows, reality shows, and they ask the question, if you can't answer, what do you say? You say next. So Raymond, next. There's nothing to talk about here.
Oh, Charlie, shout out to Call Me B Flat. Call me B Flat, call me B Flat, call me B Flat, call me Charlie.
Yo,
Long.
yo.
Where did you go, Charlie? Hey, we have
Yes,
been
sir.
looking for this. Charlie, where did you go? Which lady caught you for us? Charlie. Don't worry. As he said, it's good. Every year the FPL gets tougher, but you know what? We are always here for managers to help them navigate through it. As I am saying, next week is a special show where we're having game week one formation. I'm going to look at about 6 formations to
Tougher.
help managers to be able to go around it, which players to select, which ones to do. So, Charlie, it's gonna be very wonderful there. So, Kami, it's nice to have you here. Let us have your take on the players that we are seeing in here. So, Roland, you said no comments. Okay, I think that Man U is a wait and see. It's a wait and see. Just wait and see. So, what you can do is that at least game week 1, game week 2, at least by game week 3, we'll be able to know. And then they are now having preseason. So, whatever it is. But I'm looking at Rashford and Sancho at their price point. If the Ten Hag machine is able to kickstart, those might be some very two guys to watch over there. So, Charlie, the Man U man himself, Roland says that he won't talk about it. How much more me, who is not a Man U guy? Charlie, West Ham, Bowen, Antonio. Bowen has removed 8.5. That they, I don't know, they should have made him 8 million for us. Charlie, 8.5, yeah. Charlie, so,
Okay.
but I think what we need to do is let's look at the fixtures briefly so our managers know what to do. So the fixtures are favoring the big 16, all the big teams. This is the top half of the fixtures. So game week 1 is so the big 6. So managers to watch this. So when I mentioned, look at so aside the big 6, you have Brighton, Brentford. Brighton have a very good green, and Brentford have manageable. So Ivan Toney and co. The Leeds have some manageable games over there, but Rafinha has gone to Barca. Wolves are also having some kind good games there, and then we have Newcastle also there. So Aston Villa and then Nottingham Forest and then Spurs. The other ones are quite. We have the Charlie. These guys, their features are not. Even Man U's own cry is quite tricky because they'll face Liverpool, they'll face Leicester, they'll face Arsenal. These are just the first 8 games. So, but however it is, we'll look at it over there. So, Roland, what do you say? Should we go for Bowen still at 8.5, or you say we should wait and see for his price to
let's see how the preseason games go. I think Antonio had much of a burnout, and most managers would look at him and avoid him. I think that with the season starting, he was able to some way battle through injury the whole of last season.
Yeah.
He rarely got injured. He was able to stay fit. And that is really good news. So so with that and some much needed rest, I think he comes back good. Defense is a no for me. The defense has never been and will ever be solid. Now, apart from that, if anyone, you see, we are lucky strikers this season, and we just need one. Oh gosh, okay. So we just need one to
agree. So Leicester, Jamie Vardy. You know, Roland, I'll remind you. We told ourselves that Vardy, we will start the season with him. And you know what? Leicester's pitches are quite tricky. And you know what? Most likely we will start the season with Vardy again. And Vardy will score first 5 games, then he will vanish.
You see, that's how it is. They are always tricky, but Vardy always manages to get them. You can get like 6 penalty goals in the first 3-4 games. Then everyone will say it's a fluke. It's a fluke, but he's getting the points and he's moving on. But I mean, he's been reduced by 1 million from last year. Yeah,
that's good for us.
I think that Maddison is the one that stands out for me, and that's it.
Okay, so a very key point to talk about West Ham and Leicester for managers is that Leicester don't have Europe this season. You know, last year, because Arsenal did not get Europe last season, the Arsenal guys were able to do the job. They had a rest in between the games. But this year, West Ham are going to have Europe. Though they have Europe last year, it's going to affect them the more. So those who think that Arsenal did very well last year because of lack of Europe, in the same way, we're expecting that effect on Leicester. So Vardy, Barnes, and Maddison are few players that managers to watch over there. The Leicester defenders are quite tricky. Schmeichel is quite tricky. Nacho and then Daka, we're expecting the one of them take up on Vardy, but Vardy does not look like he wants to go on retirement anytime soon. So these are the guys who are expecting to do the work. So managers should just watch Leicester. I'm saying Leicester is the team that we might have to look. When Leicester's good run starts, it might be better you have about three guys from Leicester to play, because they might do the job right there. So, Roland, Brighton. So look at Brighton and Wolves. I don't want to talk about them. These Brighton and Wolves guys, which of the players that you think? Some teams I don't know. I think we're talking about all. Yeah. So Brighton and Wolves, which guys are you looking at in Brighton and Wolves? Which players? Roland, can't hear me. Oh, sorry. So I think Roland has had some slight internet connection, so he will surely join us. So about Brighton and Wolves, the key players to watch for Brighton is 5.0 Cucurella, whom we are expecting to move to Man City. When he goes to Man City at left back, he'll be a very crucial player for us. So Cucurella is there for us. But aside that, those who want assured a keeper for maybe the clean sheet is Sanchez. But I personally prefer Raya over Sanchez, because Raya gets a lot of save points as well over there. But the other players, the player we have to look up to is Undav. He's a Belgian player coming from the Belgian league over there. And later on the season, if he's able to catch up and able to bypass Welbeck and Mopai, that would be good. So Undav might be a player that you might just watch, but he's not a player to start your game with one team with. Just watch him over there. When you go to Wolves, Jimenez is 7.0, but Jimenez wasn't able to come back so strong after his injury. So the Wolves players are quite tricky. Because of the Wolves pitches are quite good, you can look at defense. In defense, you have Johnny, Ainori, Bolly, those are there. And then you can look at Sa, because Wolves' first 8 games are good. And you know, Wolves last year were not scoring goals, but at least they were trying to keep some clean sheets over there. So Sa, the goalkeeper Sa, is somebody that managers should watch over there. The guy that is beating everybody's mind is Neto. And I think we've talked about Neto. Neto, the previous year, the season before last season, 2020, 2021, when Jimenez got injured, Neto was the guy who was carrying the team. But last season, Neto got injured, and Neto has been priced at 5.5. So he's a guy that you can look to. You need some 5.5 players. So Neto is the guy. I know Roland does not agree with this, but I'm going to say Neto is the guy managers should look over there. So Roland, let's look at Newcastle and Palace. Which key players stand up for you in Newcastle and Palace? Are you going with Wilson? Are you going Bruno Guimaraes? Which players are you looking to? Talk to us.
This Newcastle team is very appealing. I wouldn't lie to you.
Okay.
Because if you look at Wilson is a consistent player. Injuries hamper his game a lot. So getting him in sometimes becomes an issue, because when you get him in, you don't know the game in which you get injured. It's more or less like an Antonio. When he falls to the ground, he's like he's like a vase. He'll break easily. So your heart is always, your hand is always in, how do you even say your heart is in your hand, or your hand is in your heart? One of the above. So you usually get a bit worried when you have them. But looking at this team and what Eddie Howe was able to do last season, I tell you, they will worry a lot this season. And having a Wilson, having a Bruno Guimaraes, a Trippier can also be good. I mean, Shaw, Ben, their players are, and they have Pope now. So it's more or less like
defensive solidity.
The defense is on points.
Sure.
Yeah. It's a team I'd rather look at than look at Brighton.
Sure. So Trippier is the guy that managers to watch for. At 5.0, a defender that is always bumping forward and right back and is taking free kicks. Last season he scored one free kick when he came in that short time that he was there. And now with Newcastle having Pope, there is quite very good. So Trippier is a guy that manages to watch over there. When you go to Palace, you know the very funny thing. I don't know why they made the Palace, most of the Palace players 5.5, 5.5, because I'm sure the Vieira is always rotating them. So you have Mateta at 5.5, Edward 5.5, Benteke 5.5. That's the forwards. When you go to the midfield, you have Eze, Olize, Ayu, all of them 5.5, 5.5. Only Zaha is 7.0. Which of these guys do you think is the main guy we should watch out for? Although Palace games are quite tough through the season, which of these guys do you think would be the guy we should watch out for Palace? Rowland.
Pajoyenko anymore. But as Kwame B.
Yeah. I've seen Kwame B. about Trossard. Yes, Trossard is a guy for Brighton. But
Raymond,
Trossard,
please don't cause why. Palace, forget.
6.5.
Kwame B. is saying I'd say Trossard for Brighton. Yes, he had a good part of the season towards the end. But let's see how the season starts for him. And you see the problem with Harry, I almost said Harry Potter, with Graham Potter is that he does a lot of rotation to his midfield and strike. So that's where the problem is, right? So that's just about it. So managers, I'll just have to take my leave of you now. I think that we can. Raymond will take you through the rest. I have another meeting to join. But I enjoyed my time here, and it's a great show, as Ni Ajite Namwale is saying. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. I'll catch you soon, eh?
Sure. Right, so I'll use the next 5 minutes to wrap up. So concerning with Brentford. So manager, since I'm the only one here, we have to interact. To end the show. So Brentford has Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney is guys somebody you can look at. We need mid-price players over there. But the key guy for Brentford, I want managers to watch out for is David Raya, 4.5. He was one of the best keepers in the first of the season, but he got injured. And when he came back, if you check his points per match, his point per match when he came back was 4.1 million or 4.1 points per match. And at that point of 4.5, he's really a guy that managers to watch over there. In Aston Villa, we have Cash, Digne, Ramsey. There's Aston Villa games. So for Aston Villa, we need to watch the preseason and know what actually Steven Gerrard is trying to do there. But it looks like Digne is going to have more set pieces and it's going to be bumping forward the more there. So it's more of a wait and see with Aston. As for Southampton, I don't know what to see in Southampton again. Southampton, they just have James Ward-Prowse at 6.5, and then Chiadas at 6.5. The rest of the players are all no good. I don't know. I don't know what kind of people you think about that. But the defenders are there. But they are all tricky players to look for there. When it comes to Everton, because Richarlison has left, everything is going to be dependent on Calvert-Lewin over there. But Everton's stats are not really it's a mixture. So to start normally, we want to wait and see how it will go. But then most of their defender, their midfielders are 5.5. So you have 5.5 Gray, Gordon, Townsend, Dele Alli, and all over there. So all these guys are players just to watch, just in case any of them will pick up the form and then we'll quickly soup for these players. Bamford has been put at 7.5. He's quite tricky at that price point. Leeds games are not very, very best. But these are players you should watch. So these are players you should watch. They don't have the very best start, but at least you should know them so that as soon as they start hitting in game week 2 and 3, you can just be able to make the move there. The only very interesting thing for Leeds is that Dallas has been moved from midfield back to defense, but he's 5.0. We wait to see if he can able to have the Dallas of the past 2 seasons, whereby he was able to score more goals as a defender and gain more points. Rodrigo has been moved from midfield from attack to midfield, so you need to watch him over there. Gerhardt is 5.5. So those who are looking for a budget third striker, Gerhardt is there. He sometimes comes to replace Dallas over there. Now, final players we need to look at is Mitrovic. Now, I want to make this key point about Mitrovic. I know we have been banned by Mitrovic over the past seasons in FPL. The thing about Mitrovic we need to know is that Mitrovic is playing under a different manager. He's playing under Marco Silva. And Marco Silva is an attacking manager. If we look at Scott Parker, who coached Fulham when they were in the league 2 seasons ago, you will see that Mitrovic did not get to play all the games. So most of us have the idea of Mitrovic, but under Marcus Silva, an attacking manager, Mitrovic, the process are coming to him there. So Mitrovic and Harry Wilson are players that managers to watch out for. Don't just sleep on them. The only thing is that Fulham's games for the first 4 games are quite difficult. But from game week 5, 6 ongoing, they are guys. So the good to us as managers that we can sit and watch these guys for the first 4 games and analyze their games and see. Their defense and midfield is quite tricky over there. But the good thing for us, we have a mid-price player in Matthias Pereira. So that is the good thing for us. So one thing managers also watch about Fulham is Fulham score a lot of goals. Because they score a lot of goals, their defense is also very bad. So if you have Salah playing against Fulham, captain Salah. If you have Son playing against Fulham, captain him. Same against for Haaland. So even though they are scoring goals, they also concede goals as well. Managers should watch that thing for Fulham over there. And when it comes to Bournemouth, Solanke, the former Liverpool guys over there, he's the key guy to watch over there. The other guys are not really players we can stick our heads out for. But then if you want a 4.5 defender from Bournemouth, then it is Zemura. He's left back. He's the guy that moves a little bit more forward there. And then if you want a more cheaper player than Solanke, Billing is the second center forward. He plays along with Solanke there. The thing about Fulham are more resolute. They try to be more defensive. They don't score more goals, so they might score 1 or 2 goals to win games. Bournemouth, that's for Bournemouth over there. And then for Nottingham Forest, the guy to watch out for is Brennan Johnson. And then they've got a new striker from Bundesliga, Taiwo Awoniyi. Yeah, this name sometimes they're always difficult for me to pronounce, but these are guys that we should watch for. I think among the 3 Champions League, the championship teams, promoted championship teams, the team that has the best starting features is Nottingham Forest. So managers can look at, you can get Brennan Johnson, and then when Fulham's fixtures start getting better, you can switch to Mitrovic over there. The good thing for us as managers is finally we have a 4.0 defender who's gonna play in the game. So Nico Williams have been moved from Liverpool to Nottingham Forest, so we can have a fit, reliable, at least 4.0 defender in our team just to help us there. Another very key point for Nottingham Forest is that Dean Henderson of Manchester has been loaned to Nottingham Forest. So those who want to look can also look at Dean Henderson. But then let's not forget Dean Henderson was at Sheffield United all that while, and he did some very good jobs about it. So managers across all the teams, I want those who are watching as of now, if you're also watching later in the comment section, tell me which 3 players do you think are essential players that every FPL manager should have in their game week 1 team? Which 3 players do you think every FPL manager should have in their game week 1 team? Don't forget to like the video for us as well. Which 3 key players among all the players we've spoken about today? Looking at the FPL player comparison, looking at all the players from Man City, the winners last year's champions, through to Leeds, which escaped relegation the last day with Rafinha leaving, and then the promoted teams. Which 3 players do you think that FPL managers should have? So this is my take. If you are building any FPL team, you can't do without Salah, Trent. Salah and Trent. As of now, you can't do without Salah and Trent. And then there's a case of whether to go with Haaland or not. Haaland has just come into the EPL and stuff. Yes, the fact of the matter is that Haaland is now owned by over 60% of managers. The effective ownership is so great that there are 2 scenarios. It's possible Haaland will hit. It's possible Haaland will not hit. So let's look at the scenario. Scenario 1. If Haaland hits and he is not in your team, he is going to really hurt you because it's owned by over 60% over there of the over 10 million managers we're expecting this year. The other scenario is that assuming you have Haaland and he doesn't hit, you are not hurt because almost everybody has Haaland. So the point about Haaland is you can just start and just make sure you have Haaland. So those who are betting against Haaland, oh, I don't want Haaland, you put whatever, massa. You joke with him. We always say people will not listen. When he scores, I know people are equating Haaland to Bernard, that is from Bundesliga. Yes, it is true. But Werner was coming to a Chelsea team. Let's not forget, City is a well-drilled attacking team. No matter whoever you are, if you play the City team, you score goals. So, and you know, we all know how good Haaland's shooting is. So those who are betting against Haaland, please, I'm advising you today, don't bet against Haaland. Okay, so coming with blood, you will go with Haaland, Sterling, and then Salah. Yes. So Sterling is a player that managers should really, really watch out for over there. So these are key players that managers should watch out for. Glad to have you managers here this week for today's show. Those who watch on replay, let us know who are your 3 key players that you need to have as well in your game week team. Now, I know people want this dream team, the dream team that has Mendy, Pope, Alexander Arnold, Cancelo. Please, this dream team, please, we beg you, it's not possible. So those of you who are just going on social media and showing this, please, you know it's not possible. Okay, it's not possible as well. But one day, maybe FPL will allow us to have this dream team. So the FPL Ambassador show, as I said, told us managers that next week we are having a special show looking at all the different formations for managers, to know the permutations, whether to go with the 3-5-2, whether to go with the 5-3-2, whether to go, because this year FPL is going to be very different. It's going to be different. So you need to know which way to start as well. But as you have said, some players are key in your team. Those betting against Salah, saying that Salah did not end the season well, please. Now that money has left, Salah is going to be the guy holding the team. So you need to get money there and Salah there. So the FPL Ambassador show, we are glad to be here again. Brought by myself, Raymond Nketsiah, and Wayne Kess on Twitter, Rowland Ekuban. Rowland has to leave us a little bit earlier. Marlvin is on a break. Marlvin has not resumed yet. So managers were asking about Marlvin. Marlvin will surely join us. He will join us before game week 1 as well. So we have 3 more shows before the season starts. We'll surely meet, God willing, next week, Thursday. Thank you so much for being with us. We are always glad. We want to say a very big thank you to managers for how far you have been with us. Always there, interacting with us, and then working together, subscribing, liking the channel, talking about it. And we know we are going far together. So we'll surely meet, God willing, next week, and let us know from you. Let the interaction go on. Let's all monitor the preseason and let's see how the teams will go. Thanks for having you here this week. Bye, managers. Bye.